Hello, everyone. This is very strange. We're missing our lead. Drew, are you here? Ah, there we go. Welcome, Josh. I was concerned. Are you okay?
The meeting doesn't start till 5 after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That way everyone has time to show up.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. How are you today, David?
I'm doing well.
That's good. I have a bit of a head cold today. It's very annoying. And it's like
Uh,
terrifying right now getting a cold. It's like, do I have COVID? What's going on? And I don't, well, at least tests are negative. And I don't have any real symptoms other than the stuffy nose. It could just be allergies, but that time of year, man.
There is a particularly nasty head cold going around.
That very well might be what I have. And it's funny because I'm like, I used to feel like this all the time. Like I haven't been sick in 2 years. It's like it
see
sucks.
the advantages of avoiding humans.
I know, seriously, right?
There are only upsides if when you avoid all the humans.
Yes, I concur.
Gosh, I feel like I just saw all y'all. Weird.
It's good to see you and re-see you.
I don't think you was on the last call though.
No, I wasn't.
And Vicky put the agenda in the chat, and it's in the calendar.
Yes.
If everyone could sign in, great.
Nigel again today.
Oh, you have a helper.
Yes. You're being helpful. No, you're
What's the
not.
cat's name?
This one's Nigel.
That's a good name for cat.
How many cats do you have, if I may ask?
Well, it's actually a complicated question because 2 weeks ago, Nigel lost his best friend.
Oh.
No, 3 weeks ago now. And so we have another kitty downstairs in the guest room who is interviewing for the role of friend of Nigel. So he's locked up and they have words from time to time.
All right, it's 5 after. We can get a move on then. As I said, sign in if you haven't in the agenda. It's a pretty light agenda this week, which I'm okay with. David, I'll kind of give you the first one. So the false positive suppression specification, which is a mouthful. I sent it along to the TAC. Obviously, everyone loves it.
Great.
I expect they would. Like what now?
Okay. So my apologies, but it turns out there's only so many hours in a week. So I have been really focused on updating the course, and there's something called streams, which some of you may already be working on, where I'm been basically totally pegged through the end of this week, I think.
Yeah.
So I haven't had any time to work on this spec, but you asked the question, what now? But the thing is, it's I think basically we've now determined that there is an interest. There is an interesting paper on some of the downsides of it. So I think we need to respond to that, but that's okay. I think, shockingly, it turns out that false positives don't solve all the problems. I got that. I still think it's useful. But I think the next step is really research on what tools do. So I guess what I will appeal is, in my mind, what the key of this is, we need something in a comment that says, please ignore something. Okay.
Right.
But I would, I put in a proposed text based on what a few tools that I have used or implemented do. But I think it's clear that some tools do differently just from a couple conversations. So I think the next step is we need to do a little research on every tool that has a suppression mechanism and what it is. I can do some research once I'm free next week to do some of that. But I know people here have implemented or used tools. So I will appeal to everybody who's used a tool and knows what that mechanism is. Just add that to the appendix of this. Probably should slip the URL of it in here. Let me do that. But basically, at the very bottom of the document is a list of tools. Here's how they currently do it today. Please add to that. And I think that will help us determine, because I think basically we want to determine something that's common, and knowing what the most common ones are today will help a lot.
And for just the foreseeable future, we're just going to stick to the doc as the collaboration mechanism.
I don't think so. Let me tell you how other OpenSSF working groups have worked, and we don't have to do it the same way. But typically, what a lot of working groups have done is they start in a Google Doc, and because Google Docs allow simultaneous edits, you can see what people are editing. It's super easy to get started. It actually does track what people do, but it's a little hard to follow. And so basically use Google Docs to create that very first initial draft. And then we move it over to Markdown, post it on GitHub, and then we can track more carefully proposed changes. But basically, a lot of people found that Google Docs is a great way to kind of get the ideas flowing, get started.
Yeah.
And then as we want to solidify things, switch over to something else, typically Markdown on GitHub, as it gets kind of hardened up. But right now, I think we're still very much in the research, getting the ideas down.
Yeah, I agree.
So does anybody oppose? I mean, that's how we typically have done it. I'm all for that. If somebody would prefer something else, please speak up, because that doesn't have to be the way we work. It just seems to be a pretty low. I mean, now the one problem is that the conversion tools, and Jory can tell us about this, but at least my experience is that the tools from Google Docs to Markdown are all varying degrees of less than good. So the easier you make your formats within Google Docs, the more likely of success in the transformation.
Well, and I
Yeah,
just took a peek. This is pretty tame formatting.
Oh yeah, this is very
Yeah.
tame formatting. But if you start using tables, especially complicated tables, lists within lists and unnumbered paragraphs within sub lists, at least I haven't tested all the tools, but the tools I've tried sometimes have some hiccups. But I think for the goal right now is to get just the ideas in. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, it's okay. No, if you export it to, say, a docx file and then use pandoc, it works. If you find the appropriate incantation with pandoc, there's a certain flag that you have to pass it, and then it looks surprisingly good.
It amuses me.
Uh-oh, we have lost sound. There you are.
Okay.
I need edit access. Hi.
Now Oh, okay. Yeah, just click on the edit access button. We'll get you edit access.
I did.
Now, I actually, Vicky, I tried that and I got crap results. But
See,
I may not have done the correct incantations.
that's the thing.
Pandoc has more than one option flag.
Yes, yes, that it
Pandoc,
did take me multiple attempts to get the right one,
okay.
which I of course did not write down. So I don't remember what it is, but I did find it. It exists.
All right. I will. We will be looking for the Fountain of Youth and for the perfect Pandoc option. Okay. Yeah, if you can find or give hints, that'd be great. Jory did find a more recent tool that I have not tried yet for converting Google Docs to Markdown. So, and Jory, the Pandoc Holy Grail. Yes, yes, that's it. Now, Jory did actually point to another tool, and I've actually pointed to that in the course fundamentals course. So we'll give that a try, and hopefully that'll all work out better. Or just ask Jory to do the conversion because she is amazing. Hi, Jory. I'm sending you out.
Hi.
Do you hear the setup?
Yes, yes, indeed. But I seriously, I am happy to help with stuff like that. Just shoot it my way, no problem.
And I like this model as well, I think, and we'll document it at some point for new projects. Start with a Google Doc,
Yeah.
do some work, and then move it to GitHub. Because I'm always hesitant to create a repo and then have nothing happen, and now you have a repo that's just kind of rotting there.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, it's up to you, but this is such a relatively small document. I think we can just have it live within the tools working group repo itself.
Sure.
It's, I mean, we can make that decision when we get there, because I'm expecting basically the next 2 weeks we're going to do more of the research. We'll talk about what we find, and probably hopefully wrap up this doc within like a month or two. But
Nice.
I'm not expecting this to be a big doc, so
Yeah.
the working group's repo is probably just fine.
Do you link in the draft, David, to the research paper you mentioned that?
Oh yes, I did. I didn't add that, but it is the link is there. I did not find that. That was actually somebody else. So my thanks. Here we go. It's near the bottom. Some reports never be ignorable. It's the disable comments. The end mingles. I mean, it's just a link. I should have the. No. How did okay? It's a blog post. It's an opinion piece about how disabled comments make things worse. And maybe we should have a reference section. And you know, I haven't worried about formatting so far in this document, but probably should do that. But hey, there's a reference. So I will tweak it right now and add a reference section and reference that. Just to be, I mean that that particular blog post argues against doing this at all. I don't agree, but I do agree with some of the problems. And so I think the solution there is, I think there are ways to try to deal with that.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think the argument that makes there, hey, what kind of error did the static analysis tool report? Shouldn't we disable the rules? But I think really this is focusing much more on linting tools. Where you've got style checking tools. Why are you enforcing a style that you don't want to use?
Yeah.
And this isn't really exactly the same thing, but I think we should mention it and explain why. The fundamental problem is that you can't. These aren't style rules that we're worrying about. These are static analysis for vulnerabilities is really the focus, at least that I have in mind.
Yep. Cool.
Okay.
Works for me. Awesome. Thanks, man. Let's look back at the agenda. Okay, I feel like that's good. OpenSSF Day virtual info. Is that
That's Jory. I popped that in because a lot of folks here had asked questions about OpenSSF Day and whether there would be a virtual component there. And I had been saying, I'm sorry, I don't know. And hot off the presses, just got an email from the events team just a little bit ago that yes, they have a virtual platform selected for the entire event, and OpenSSF Day content will apply there too. So if you register for Open Source Summit North America, you can add Open Source Day as an add-on event to your ticket. And our content and presentations will also be available in the platform at the same time. And then the content will be available broadly a couple weeks after the event. They take a minute and kind of do the editing and stuff that they need to be able to put the talks up after the fact. So was patiently waiting to get some intel on that, and I'm just thrilled to start to share that so you can tell your friends if you're not able to make it to Texas. Yes, VM.
Yeah, so this may be a level of detail that you have not yet received from Angela's team, but are there separate registrations for virtual and on-site, or is there simply on-site and then virtual comes along for free? Because I know a lot of our team is based in India, and while time zones might not necessarily work, traveling definitely doesn't work.
Yeah.
So they want to participate, but they can't get there. So do you know whether they could register?
Yes. So my understanding is it is an entirely separate registration for virtual experience. So you can choose either one or the other when you go
Excellent.
buy your ticket. Yeah. And then I think also as LF Silver members, your organizations may be eligible for a 20% discount on the registrations for both virtual and in person. So if your company is a member of the OpenSSF, you're also a silver member at least of the Linux Foundation, and that gets you a discount if you want to look into that.
Thank you.
David, did you see Jonathan's request for access? Can you make sure that gets fixed?
Oh, I did not, but let's fix that.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just got in. Looks like there's a little bit of a delay. So let's,
It's all magic.
it's all magic. But some magic is delayed. As you know, when the spell level gets higher, it takes longer to cast.
Indeed.
You're awesome, David.
I have books behind me to prove it.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, you should not be surprised. But all right, so I have pushed the buttons, and well, we may have different problems, but that problem should be solved.
Good. I put one more thing on the agenda. I'm out the next time we have this meeting in 2 weeks. I'll be, I think I'm in an airplane. I don't remember. Anyway, I can't dial it. So just, should we cancel it? Does someone else want to run it? I don't have a strong preference. I don't envision myself doing anything of substance in the next 2 weeks anyway. I'm pretty slammed with a bunch of other work.
I suspect people won't argue if they get that time back, especially with all the stream work happening and all that sort of rubbish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, normally I would jump up and say I'd be happy to support. In fact, if you want me to, I am happy to run it on your behalf. But I'll be honest, I'm going to be pretty slammed on the streams stuff myself.
Yep. Let's cancel it. That's great. I'm all for it.
Okay. And basically, but the next time we gather, I'm going to be begging everybody here at least try to just add here's how the tools I know suppress warnings. We don't need the 300 pager, but a link to, if it's complicated, links to it would be great.
Yeah.
But I think that's basically the key is we want to borrow the best ideas and preferably a common approach. I doubt there's an approach everybody uses, but if there's a common approach, that's, I think, what we're looking for right now.
Yeah, and David, I would highly suggest you send a mail about this request, just because there's like 100 people on the list and there's like 15 people here, 13.
Great idea. We'll do it.
Yeah.
I will do that after this, soon after this meeting.
Fantastic. There's one other thing I was gonna mention. I don't remember anymore. It's been this week. I've got nothing else going on. Does anyone have anything they want to add? If not, we can all escape and get back to whatever slog we're digging through.
I have one other thing, which David just reminded me. I should have said this in the best practices call too. Next week, OpenSSF staff will be out at the Linux Foundation All Hands, and so we're likely to be pretty slow to reply because we'll be in like team meetings and stuff. So just bear in mind if you need something, we'll get you, but we'll probably be a little bit slower about it next week, the 2nd through the 5th.
Cool. Oh, I remember what I was going to say now. Jory, can you cancel this meeting, get it off the calendar for the 10th?
I already did.
Oh, perfect. Easy. Nice.
She's magic that way.
I love it. That's great.
Okay, anything else?
Sweet. All right. I'm going to go back to being miserable with my head cold. I will.
Oh.
Better.
All right, your job is to get better
Farewell.
soon there.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye all.